random phase and random scale. Add some color with an object info node connected to a color ramp. Choose
that's
consistent
what I
and some
did.
random sprinkle colors. Connect to the color, and yummo, to think this could have been a 16-part tutorial series.
Slam dunk at the end there. To someone, I don't know who, can't be me, clearly, because mine was 12 parts, not 16, which is exactly as long as a donut tutorial should be. This tutorial series is brought to you by Polygon. Make better renders faster. Welcome to part 3 of level 3. Let's turn this cup into glass. So in rendered view mode, this is how our mug looks currently. And you know what? We are done with our reference photo. So I'm just going to drag this into my archive collection, which you'll remember is just like it's hidden, but I can access it later if I wanted to for whatever reason. And I'll also just bring back my plane just so that I can see everything. Okay, so this is how it looks currently. And if we go to the material panel, you'll see that there's actually no material added to it. There is, it's the exact same, like if you just add a new material, it's the exact, these settings here are what every new object will have applied to it by default if you don't change any settings. So anyway, this is what our material looks like currently. If you want to make it look like glass, the old way to do it in Blender was to use a glass shader. There is a glass shader here. But actually the principled shader is like, it's the master uber material which can do a whole range of things including glass. So to make this look like glass, the only value in here you need to change is transmission. It's set to 0 by default. If you turn that up to 1, it's now glass. That's it. That's basically it. It's frosted glass by default, but that's because there's a roughness set to 0.5. So if you turn that down to 0, it now looks like glass. Look at that, amazing. Now we want the plate to be glass as well. So if you want to copy a material from one to another, it's a little convoluted, but basically you select the material without that you want to have the other material applied to, then shift select the material that you want to copy from, and then hit Control L and then select materials. Yeah, it's not the easiest way to do it, but it's how you do it in Blender. Okay, so they've now got the same material, and we might as well just give it a name, call it glass. Very original. And yeah, it looks good, but you'll notice one little problem, and that is that if you look at like the plane in the background, like that, the brightness of that plane, when it passes through the glass, it's a little bit dim. Like it's almost like there's some darkness being applied to it. And that is because, by default, the base color of your material isn't pure white. It's slightly less than pure white. I don't know where 0.906 value came from by default. I'm sure there's a very good reason for that. But we want it to be 1, okay, because it's glass. And now that you can see the difference between those, the pinkness of it, the brightness of it, is identical going through the glass or out of the glass. So that's good. Okay, now, it's probably also now a good time to like line everything up to make sure that, yeah, it's resting on the surface. And actually, before we do that, we might as well parent our cup to our plate, which you'll remember we did for the icing and the donut. So select the cup, then the plate, then hit Control P, which is how you set a parent, and then hit Object Keep Transform. And then when you do that, if you've just got the plate selected, everywhere you move the plate, the cup will go with it, which is good. Okay, so in solid view mode, what I want to do is just move this down until it's resting on the plane. Now, because this is glass, you're going to notice if it's clipping, okay? So what you want to do is underneath your plane, just check that the plate isn't peeking through it. So just go underneath it, then hit G, then Z, and then just move it up until it completely disappears from underneath. And then you want to do the same thing for the cup, which is a little harder to do because you have to get the camera, or you have to get the view like right in between the front and back face of the plate. Very hard to do, but anyway, you get it in here and then just hit G and Z to move it up along the Z axis until it just disappears from the view of the plate. And there we go. So now if we go into rendered view mode, we shouldn't see anything clipping. If you see like a dark circle or anything appearing here, that means that it's clipping, but it looks like ours is pretty good. So I'm just going to move my camera back. Whoops. So the camera was, previously focused just on the donut. But anyway, I'm going to hit G, then middle mouse button, and just drag, just move the mouse back, and it will go there. And then I'm just going to rotate the plate so that the handle's on the right-hand side. So you do that just by hitting G. Then I'm just rotating on the Z axis, like that. And there we go. All right, let's just move this up a little bit. And let's go ahead and give it a render. So we got default samples at 128. Let's see how this looks. All right, we're coming to the end of it. I'm rendering on two GTX 1080 Ti's, so I know that not everyone has, cards as nice as this. It might take, I don't know, 20 minutes on your machine, I don't know. It's just one of the things of computer graphics, right? Like, the faster your hardware, the faster you're going to get a clean image at the other end. You can do it on pretty much, like, people have asked me, like, what's the minimum requirements to run Blender? Like, there's almost no minimum requirements. It'll run on pretty much anything. It's just like, how soon do you want your render? So if you want to do 3D, like, long term, I would definitely recommend upgrading to a nicer graphics card. And there's actually a Blender benchmark where you can actually see, like, what are the stats of, like, different cards. So you can check that out. But anyways, this is how it looks, and it's pretty good. It's, that's how the glass is looking. So you can go more or less samples. I would probably, for like a final render, I would do like higher samples at around 200 or 300 or 500, who knows. But for this is fine. Now, we want to have the liquid in the glass because we've got time. We've got time to make the liquid. So in solid view mode, we could like add in a cylinder and then line it up with this, but like, why bother? We've got the cup here. We've got the wireframe, and what we can basically do is like reuse the geometry here and just like duplicate it and make it a new object, and that can be our liquid. By the way, there's 100 ways you could make liquid in glass. You could even use the fluid simulator, which Blender comes with, but that would just be crazy expensive in terms of processing time for static liquid. So it's essentially, it's another object, and the object happens to fit the exact dimensions of the inside of the cup. So we're just going to duplicate the inside of the cup. So, okay, so this is, hang on, solid view, let's go X-ray mode, right? So you'll notice that there is the outside of the cup and the inside of the cup, and if you're not careful, you'll end up selecting the wrong part of it. So make sure that you are only selecting the inside. In fact, it can actually be helpful to switch to face select mode, and then just hold down Alt and then Shift, and then just select along here like this. And you should be able to get pretty well just the inside of the cup. And actually, I'm just going to switch to vertice mode just for this last bit. And I'm going to hit C, which is the circle select, which gives you like this, kind of like this brush. And then I can just select the bottom row of vertices there. You could like go chick, chick, chick and do that one by one, but there's so much going on there, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to click the wrong thing. But yeah, anyway, that's it. So I've got the inside there. Just make sure that it is like, if you see like a lone one like that, right? Like where it's not connected or something, like just make sure that you are only selecting the all the stuff that's inside it. Then when you've got that, you're going to hit Shift D, which is to duplicate. Now it's connected to my cursor, so I just want to cancel that movement by right-clicking or hitting Escape, and that will just bring it back to where it's duplicated from. Then you're going to hit P straight after that to separate it via selection to its own separate object. So now if I exit edit mode, you should see that we've got the cup, and then we've also got another object right in there. So they're like overlapping right now, and they're kind of like hard to click on each other. So if you go to your your outline over here underneath circle, I guess we should probably start renaming some of these. I've got plate, and then I've got my cup, and then here, this new one is called liquid. And I might as well actually parent it to the cup. So I'm just going to Shift select on the cup, Control P, Object, Keep Transform. And then now when I move the cup, the liquid will go with it. And when I move the plate, the cup and the liquid will go with it. So it's kind of like getting a hierarchy of object needs, I don't know. Okay, so the liquid is here, yay. Okay, so it's, if we look at it in wireframe mode, this is what we got. Now, obviously, liquid should be closed, right? We want to have a flat plane along the top. So if I just hit F on here, it's going to do that, which is, you remember what we happened with the cup at the start, right? It's got this, this madness going on. So what you want to do is hit I, and that will create another, like an inset loop cut right there to create, yeah, like a much more smoothed, less abrasive looking surface. Okay, now, it's important now, if we go to have a look at this, you'll notice if you look at the liquid, it looks a little weird. And let's hide the cup and let's hide the plate just so that we can focus on it. Like something's definitely going wrong here. And actually the first time I was like making this coffee cup to, you know, make the tutorial result or whatever, it took me a while to actually figure out why my liquid was just, whatever I changed in the material settings, it just wasn't looking right. And that is that by default, if you go up here to your overlay section, doesn't matter, object mode or whatever, if you click on face orientation, you'll see that you get this red, right? If you're in face orientation and you see anything red, that means that your normals are facing the wrong way, okay? So normals, there are two sides to a mesh, right? Like you've got this side and then the underside, right? And there's technically, yeah, they will both be rendered, but it's only designed to be viewed from one side, essentially. So there's a front facing and then there's a back facing. Red is a back facing side. So what you need to do is in edit mode, select all your vertices by hitting A, then hit Shift N. Shift N will recalculate your normals, or if you just forget it in the future for whatever reason, if you just type in normals, you'll see one there that says recalculate normals. So if you forget that, or you can get my shortcut PDF and you'll have that and you don't have to remember it. Shift N. Anyway, once you've done that, it's blue, face orientation, rendered view mode. It'll now look like this, which you'll agree looks a lot better than what it was before. This is how it looked previously, that weird top there and looks like metal down there. And this is how it looks with recalculated normals, okay? So bring back the cup, bring back the plate. And before we, like in the next part, we're gonna actually make this look, you know, with volumetrics, make it look like coffee. But just looking at liquid, like this is, it's actually a problem a lot of beginners have, like, believe it or not, it's, I guess, a common thing beginners want to make is a cup of water or a cup of liquid. And you'll see that this liquid just doesn't look right. Like it looks interesting, I guess, a whole bunch of refraction and stuff, but it doesn't look right because you've got glass, which is a solid glass object, and there's refraction rules, like it's applying physics refraction rules, and then you've got liquid, and then there's more refraction going on, and if you've got a gap between the glass and the liquid, it's now calculating it's calculating a different refraction for, like it's essentially you've got like, yeah, the glass, then you've got air, and then you've got glass again, and it's doing like this weird like thing where it's calculating different refraction rules on all of those, and you don't want that. Essentially, all you want to have is like, if I can erase all of that at the same time, you want to have the glass here, and then this is the other side of the glass, and you actually want to cheat, which is obviously this isn't accurate to the real world, but you want to have the liquid actually on this side. So this is like the liquid here. You want to have it actually inside of the glass, like between these two walls. That's the front facing, and that's the inside of the glass. You want to have it actually intersecting the glass. So essentially what I mean is just scale up the liquid ever so slightly. It's easier if you look at it in, say, let me hide that annotation there. In wireframe mode, no. We're gonna do wireframe mode. We'll do solid view mode, X-ray mode. Okay, and then, yeah, you essentially just want to have it like this, right? So that's the liquid, that's the glass, and you can see it's between those, right? So just slightly peeking out. And when you do that, hang on, the surface tension, there's some weirdness going on there. In fact, actually, let's fix that because it's just going to look weird until we fix this. So the surface tension, the reason that you're getting like, yeah, it's like really rounded, we need to have another loop cut right here. So let's add Control R, add another loop cut right at the very tippity top. And now let's give that a render and you should see this. like that. There's a little bit of, if I hide the plane, then you can't see anything. Okay, just ignore this reflection that's going along the top there. But you can see the liquid now actually appears like liquid does, in a glass. It's like, it looks like the liquid is hugging the actual, like the wall of that outer part of the glass there. And that's exactly how you want it to look. You want it to, be intersecting it ever so slightly. I don't know, I guess there's physics laws on, and I'm sure we're cheating it by having it intersecting, but that's how you always create liquid. That's a better view. There we go. Okay, now, there's one other thing we're going to do before we jump to the next part of the series, and that is I just want to show you surface tension. Okay, if I just pull up here a reference photo of, whoa, everything's happening. Right here. It's kind of hard to see it from this photo, but I didn't have time to take a photo at home to really zoom in on it. But this is how it looks, right? So that's the glass there. This is the liquid. The liquid isn't actually, it's not just flat, it's actually going up like that. It's creating a ramp, and that's surface tension. So it's actually, the edger parts of it are kind of like sticking, like holding on to the edges like that, right? So we essentially want to have that, and that's like, anytime you've got liquid in a glass, it's going to be doing that effect right there. So what I'm going to do is, in solid view mode here, go into edit mode, and then with this big flat plane at the top here, and let's go toggle X-ray mode. No, we need that. I'm just going to drag it down like that. Okay, so we've got that, and then I'm going to do another inset just to sharpen that a little bit. And then I want to make sure, so you can actually see here, I'm looking inside the glass right now. That curve is actually going too far in. So what I'm going to do is just select this, and then I'm just going to, and that one there as well. That edge loop, yep. I'm just going to scale this in. You can actually see there's like a little faint line where it's intersecting. It's really hard to see. I apologize, but maybe a different, a matte cap or something. Just trying to think, how can I actually like show this in an easy way? That's a little bit better, right? But then you can't see the wireframe. I guess there's a way to make the wireframe appear on top of it, but right now it's very annoying that the wireframe just like keeps disappearing without X-ray mode, but then you can't see the surface very well. Yeah, anyway, scale this in, and this as well, I guess. Okay, there's people coming and going in this office. I don't know them. They don't work with me. Just in a shared office space. So as much as I'd like to say, hey, entire office, no noise because I'm recording, I don't want to be that guy. So anyway, there you go. Okay, so there we go. You should have just a little bit of surface tension, right? In fact, you know what? I could probably do it even more. Just up that a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So it's like you're getting this little ramp that goes all the way around it, right? So that's basically that little ramp there. Whoop, up the top. Okay, so now in rendered view mode, it'll look like this. Ta-da! Which, it's not a huge change, but it's little details like this that matter. So anyways, give this a quick render. And there we go. A glass of water in a fancy coffee cup. Yeah, anyways, so go ahead and join me in the next part, and we'll actually make this look like coffee with like tinted, actually look like real coffee. So see you in the next video.